Hi, everyone. Thank you again for having this conference and inviting us. I'm super excited to be here. So last semester, I was taking an electrical engineering class that had me stay on campus until 3, 4 in the morning to do labs. Oh, wait. Sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. The design software for those labs only worked on my school's campus, where my computer was connected to campus Wi-Fi. Those long hours working on my lab made me appreciate even more my ability to be connected. If I hadn't had an internet connection at all, I would have never passed the class. I'm a college student. I'm lucky enough to live a mere 5-minute walk away from campus, and I have Wi-Fi all the time, whether it's on campus or my smartphone with a data plan. But for students in underserved communities all across the United States and the world, internet access doesn't come as easily. In a school system where the majority of homework assigned to students requires broadband access, the homework gap has become synonymous with a lack of progress.
Technology has changed the ways that students learn and interact with the world. Whereas at first, students turned to heavy, lengthy, and expensive SAT books to prepare for the exam, they're now turning to Khan Academy, a free online platform where they could have personalized exercises and practice for the exam. As well, we're seeing that 70% of teachers are starting to assign homework that requires a broadband internet connection. But for students that lack access to the internet, they see themselves not benefiting from these resources and not being able to complete their work. 1 in 5 US households with school-aged children lack access to the internet. That's horrible. As we break down the demographics and look at minority communities, the numbers get even worse. 25% of African American households with school-aged children lack that access. And 23% of Latino communities also lack that same access. Cost is the main barrier that students reach or face when they're trying to overcome and access this barrier. So we're seeing a growing socioeconomic divide among students that have access to the internet and all of the opportunities and things that it provides, and those that don't. In a day and age where the internet is required to complete homework, apply for scholarships in colleges, and even for jobs, students that lack this access are seeing themselves held back, hurt by their conditions. But what does this digital divide and homework gap really look like? Because the internet is no longer a luxury for these students, it's a prerequisite for their success. So I want to talk a little bit about an individual that goes to school in my community. His name's Alexis. He's a local senior at a high school in my hometown. He's got big dreams. Wants to go to college and wants to dedicate his life to serving his community and making it better. But there's one thing that holds Alexis back from achieving his dreams, and that's that his family is unable to afford broadband internet. And so during Alexis's first years in high school, the only way that he could get access was through his school's computers and connection. And so he found himself having to use sporadic free times in between classes, during class, or during lunch times to go and use this connection. After school, there was a different story. Alexis had to look for any other way that he could to get this access. And sometimes that meant having to go to a McDonald's or some other local fast food place that offered free Wi-Fi. Now, thankfully, through time, Alexis' situation has improved a little bit. In 2017, there was a library that opened up near Alexis that gave him the opportunity to access the internet after hours. And he's benefited from that. As the previous speaker had mentioned, libraries are a really good starting point, and we must continue investing and expanding their potential but also looking at the ways that we could expand broadband access to a person's home. Because many of these institutions, like schools or other places, might have an issue where they have hours of operation. And many students will know that just because a place closes doesn't mean necessarily that their work is finished or that they are ready to complete and turn in their homework. This is a situation that so many students across the country are going through. It's a matter of having to jump through hoops to survive and do what must be done to live in our society. It's a matter of going to a McDonald's. It's a matter of befriending somebody that maybe could give them access. It's a horrible situation. And the reason that so many of these students, again, have to resort to these workarounds is because they have no other choice. If they hope to stay competitive in the educational and professional landscape, they need to find ways to use the internet or they risk falling behind. The workarounds that students use and go through cannot and should not be considered permanent solutions. But what does a real permanent solution look like? And how can we ensure that the future is safe in the internet's hands?
According to the Public Policy Institute of California, 90% of Californian households use the internet, and 74% have broadband subscriptions. However, as Oscar mentioned, marginalized demographic groups continue to face many issues. In 2017, around 950,000 students did not have access to the internet. 44% of the households that they lived in cited cost as the main barrier. Currently, communities that are afflicted by the homework gap have come up with 4 main solutions: public libraries, Wi-Fi buses, on-campus technologies, and after-school programs. Like Oscar mentioned with Alexis, public libraries are a really great resource that students have found and have been using for a long time. The rest of these solutions are those that were enacted by schools and school districts to help improve internet connectivity. In Coachella Valley, California, schools equipped buses with routers and parked them around low-income neighborhoods. For the students that lived within the radius of these buses, it was easy for them to connect, and they could theoretically work on their homework on the bus to and from school. Some schools have made tech available within the classroom, whether it's through classroom tablets or computer labs. And this is great because it offers students not only the opportunity to get connected and to get online, but also offers them a workspace. Finally, many schools have put into place after-school programs, which allow students to remain connected to campus Wi-Fi after hours and possibly have access to a teacher to help them with any assignments. While at first glance, these 4 solutions seem like great ways to combat the homework gap, they each face issues. Public library computers might have time limits, and there are other people that want to use them. However, public libraries all over the country are trying to do more to help internet connectivity and enabling student access to the internet. In states like Maine and North Carolina, some libraries have put into place hotspot lending programs, which allow students to check out a hotspot for the duration of the school year. In addition, some of these local libraries hold digital literacy classes, which is especially crucial because merely giving a family access to the internet might not be helpful if they don't know how to use it. In an area with parked Wi-Fi buses, if one isn't within radius, it can be really difficult for a student to get connected. Even if they are, the quality of the internet access that they have access to might not be good enough. For students that rely on the Wi-Fi of the bus to do their homework, simply doing their assignments on the commute to and from school isn't enough time. Plus, these programs put the onus on schools and their districts to equip multiple buses with routers. For already underfunded schools in areas where the homework gap is a big problem, it can be difficult for schools and their districts to continually find the money and resources to maintain this bus system. Similar issues exist with technology on school campuses as they do with public libraries. Once school is out for the day, students might lose access to these resources. And this requires them to work on their homework during the school day, like Alexis. And it might not be very feasible, especially if they have a packed day. After-school programs require students to stay after the day ends. And these programs make it difficult for students who have after-school jobs or who do extracurricular activities to continue participating. These programs not only keep students at school, but also require teachers to spend extra time as well. Many teachers pay out of pocket for school supplies because their districts can't afford it. For them to offer more time and to sacrifice more time might be too much to ask. Because of these various issues, there is a pressing need for a long-term, more sustainable solution to the digital divide and the homework gap. One of these solutions is government funding. Federal and state funding allowed rural and high-need schools in 2017 in California to become just as likely as urban ones to meet the FCC's long-term digital learning targets. For example, 58% of all urban, rural, and high-need schools had all of their buildings covered by Wi-Fi. More than $270 million was provided through the federal E-rate programs to help aid Californian schools and public libraries and improve their internet access. And the California Teleconnect Fund provided $48 million more to help schools. Another great solution to the homework gap is municipally created broadband networks. While public library hotspot programs are a great first start, they might be limited in their bandwidth. Fostering collaboration between school districts, utilities companies, and government agencies can help improve the connectivity of an entire city, not just schools. Imperial County, California, created the Imperial Valley Telecommunications Authority, or IVTA. IVTA worked together with water and power companies to share fiber optic cables. They created a network across the entire county. Similar solutions in other parts of the state could be really beneficial, not just to students, but to the entire community. Like Oscar said, current solutions cannot and should not be viewed as the end goal and as sustainable solutions to alleviating the homework gap. It is vital that we form more comprehensive solutions together to improve digital inclusion.
In our increasingly digital world, access to the internet is vital to be an active member of our society. And from Wi-Fi buses to municipal-run broadband networks, there's good work being done. But there's much more we could do. The area in which a person grows up, or the amount of money their parents make or they make, should not determine their educational opportunity or their future success. This is the things that people are going through. These are the things that students are facing, and we cannot fail them. It is people like Alexis and students all across the country that remind us of the importance of our fight and the work that still lies ahead. Thank you so much. We'd like to take just a couple questions if anybody has any questions in the crowd.